Good morning, good morning. Hope you've had a wonderful day so far. Let's dive into grammar. Now, today, instead of a friend, I want each of you to pause the video and go get a little treat or a prize and lay them all out in a line like this, okay? So go ahead and pause. I actually love roasted almonds. They are delicious. Okay, how many almonds do I have? 8. I have 8 almonds. So we're going to go through each one of these, and every single one that you can do on your own, you get to eat your treat, okay? So let's say this together. Ready? 8 parts of speech, 8 parts of speech. Yeah, 8 parts of speech, 8 parts of speech. Noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, conjunction, interjection, preposition, adjective. All right, now let's go through the definitions. What is a noun? It is a... If you said person, place, thing, activity, or idea, very good. You can eat this. Okay, what's a pronoun? I'll give you a hint. A pronoun. Did you get that? A pronoun replaces a noun in order to avoid repetition. I'm actually going to put this here. We're going to talk about this later. But he, she, her, I, you, he, she, it, they, you, they, them. Lots of pronouns. Okay, so if you got that one, eat it. Ready? Ooh, this is a big one. A verb. Did you get that? A verb is a word that asserts action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. Good job. All right. You get that one too? Delicious. All right. What's an adverb? An adverb. An adverb. And answers. Did you get it? Hopefully most of it. An adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. An adverb modifies a verb, adjective, or another adverb. And answers how, when, where, why, how often, how much, to what extent, under what condition. Very good. All right, next. Conjunction. You may not know this, and this one's a little bit harder. We haven't talked in depth about this, but it goes like this. A conjunction is a word used to connect words, phrases, or clauses together. A conjunction is a word used to connect word, phrases, or clauses together. It's coordinating fanboys. And then these are other ones we'll talk about later. I'm not teaching you this yet. But if you can tell me, what does a conjunction do? See, it's joining these two train cars together. Links words, phrases to clauses together. This one's fun. Okay, interjection. Yes, do you see the exclamation point, comma? Interjection shows excitement or emotion set apart from a sentence by an exclamation mark or by a comma when the feeling's not as strong. Like, ouch, yay, yum. All right, a preposition. There's a whole list of these babies. I don't have a definition here, but it describes where something is in relation to something else. So, for example, some of the prepositions are aboard, about, above, across, after, against, along, amid, around, atop, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond, but by, concerning, down, during, except, for. That's kind of catchy. It's fun to keep singing that, but we'll get to that later. All right, adjective. You should know this song. So these are just freebies since I haven't really taught them to you yet. You get to just eat them. So, adjective. An adjective modifies an adjective. Did you get that? An adjective modifies a noun or a pronoun by describing, modifying, or limiting and answers what kind, how many, which or whose, what kind, how many, which or whose. And then its sister is article adjectives. Very good. Do you like my one white nail left? All the rest have peeled off. Emmy painted my nails, and I called them my blizzards for winter coming up. All right, let's review real quickly our charts. Here's our we reviewed our nouns. Remember what these babies are? Person, place, thing, activity, or idea. All of these things are always nouns. Okay? Subjects, direct objects, indirect objects, objects of prepositions, predicate nominatives, and appositives. I don't expect you to know all of those yet, but you older kids should at least know what subjects and direct objects are, and objects of the prepositions. So those will always be nouns. All right, verbs. Actually, we'll get to verbs in a minute. Pronouns. These, remember, they replace our nouns. So these are all the different kinds of pronouns. There's subject ones, objects, possessive pronouns like mine, yours, his means it's possessive. It's mine. Anyway, so there's a lot more detail to that we may or may not get to later. Adjectives. Here they all are. Remember, these describe, and here's its sister article adjectives. What kind of bread? How many children? Which hill? Whose love? Savior's love. Now you might say, but Sister Allred, Savior is a noun. You're right. But guess what? Names can also be describing whose love. If there's an apostrophe S at it, it is actually acting as an adjective. Pretty cool, huh? This is why grammar's fun, because you have to use your little noggin, your brain, to reason. Because it's not always 2 + 2 = 4. Sometimes things act differently depending on what the sentence looks like. Pretty cool, huh? All right, and then an adverb is pink because it's related to verbs. Remember, it describes verbs, adjectives, or another adverb, but these are kind of buddies here. Okay, so so here's the verb. Remember, if the adverb ends in ly, or the word, it probably is an adverb. Not in every case, but it often manifests as an ly. So, okay, guys, I want to talk a little bit more about verbs here. Now, remember, how many types of verbs are there? 4 kinds of verbs. We have our actions, like bam, 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 right? Hammering. Being, meaning I am this way. We are good. We are reverent. Linking, like Joseph remained faithful. Helping, Jesus will come. See how there's a verb phrase? There's 2 verbs here. Now, verbs are the most important part of the sentence. And Sister Updike will say, and we do it a little differently, but she will say you find the verb first. And she has a point. So these are the linking verbs. A linking verb makes an assertion by joining 2 words. A linking verb makes an assertion by joining 2 words. Feel, become, remain, taste, seem, appear, look, sound, stay, smell, grow. For example, you could say, she grows carrots. And grow is a linking verb. That which kind of is odd, huh? All right, state of being verbs. State of being verbs are these. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. I have been happy lately. Or I am kind. Now, some of these you will notice are also in the helping verbs list. So what's the difference? How do I know if it's a state of being or a helping verb? Well, a helping verb helps another verb that's an action or being or existence. So there have to be 2 verbs. So for example, if I say I am a child of God, there's not another verb. But if I say, I am going to church, I am going. If there's going, then it's going to be a helping verb because there's an action verb after it. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, so I want to show you guys this chart. Okay, we have actually 7 different kinds of patterns. Now, this is how important verbs are. Okay, do you see this? This is like a picture of our sentence. Sometimes the sentence is relatively equal. So I can find my pencil here. Oh, this isn't my best pencil, but okay, so we may have our subject is going to be blue. Okay, here's our, actually, I'm going to start with this one. So our verbs act as these fulcrums or balancing points. I wish I had a real one to show you. Maybe next time I will have one. But verbs, in fact, you can think of it like this. I'm going to do red because verbs are red. Okay, an upside down V, right? As an upside down V is like the fulcrum or the balance point of our sentence. And some sentences only have one thing that's balancing on the verb. Okay, like this. This would be our subject. Okay, or this bird is our subject balancing on the verb. Right? So this type of sentence would be subject, verb, intransitive. That would be it. Like, I fell, right? Or I pray. That, okay, there's our subject. And here's our verb intransitive. There's nothing really coming after it. I could say I pray fervently, but that's not, fervently is just an adverb describing pray. It's not a core part of our sentence. But these, on the other hand, have subjects kind of on either, or sorry, nouns kind of on either side of our verb. Okay, so we may have a subject, verb, transitive or verb linking, and a direct object. And then it's kind of a very balanced sentence, right? Now, you don't not every sentence is going to be balanced like this because they serve different purposes. But this is kind of a good visual to understand how important verbs are. Sentences do not exist without verbs. I can't just say I or bird or pretty bird or flying bird, right? That doesn't work. I have to have a verb. The verbs are the fulcrum, the most important part of the sentence. Every part is important, but the verbs hold everything together. Do you guys see that? How this holds everything together? It gives the sentence movement, dynamic. It gives the sentence structure. If I took this out, this would just be sitting there and unable to do anything. Literally, it couldn't do anything. It would just sit there. So, and then other times, we're going to have other sentence patterns. See this SVI? This is a pattern of a sentence. There's 7 of them, and we'll talk about that later. But SVTDO is another pattern. SVTDO. Like, I read my scriptures. Do you see that? So here's the verb right here that everything else is hinged on. I read my scriptures. See that? So this is a very balanced sentence. Okay, now sometimes sentences may be heavier on this side. So we may have a subject, verb, indirect object, and direct object. Okay, these are both nouns. So see how nouns and verbs are working together in a sentence. So for example, we might have God is our subject. Okay, gave me scriptures. Okay, so this is going to be our subject. This is going to be our verb. So think of it like this. It's our fulcrum. Gave scriptures to or for whom? Me, indirect object. Okay, some of your older children have probably done this before, and this is transferring action. So here's our cup, and here's our other cup. See, there's two words here. So this one might be balanced like that, okay? Because there's a lot more coming after the sentence. Or we may have clauses that are, because God loves me, God gave me scriptures. Then we would put, because God loves me. Here we have our subject, it's always here, and then our verb that everything hinges on. I want to really emphasize this. Everything hinges on the verb. Even if it's just a simple subject and verb, and just one thing, our subject, is hinging on it. Sometimes you have a lot more parts to the sentence that are hinging on the verb. But again, the verb gives the sentence movement and structure and purpose. Without it, let's pretend I take out my verbs and I just had God, me, scriptures. That doesn't make sense. Let's say I took it out here, okay? I, my scriptures. That doesn't make sense. Or I. Again, that doesn't make sense. Can you have, here's a question, okay? Here's a trick. Can you have a sentence with only a verb? There's a little bit of a trick sentence. See if you can think of one. Trick question. Okay. What about this? Run. Is that a sentence? Do you remember our 5 parts of our sentence? 5 parts of a sentence are subject, verb, capital letter, end mark, and complete sense. Does this make sense? Run. Yes. Here's the thing. There's a hidden subject. It's you. You run. It's a command. This is an imperative sentence. So we have an understood subject pronoun. Okay, but the actual text written in the sentence is just this. So we're going to kind of draw like an invisible bird here. Okay, because there really is a subject. It's just hiding. Okay, but you really can have a sentence that literally has one word, and the only sentence you can have that only has one word has to be a verb. Pretty crazy, huh? So verbs are so much fun and very important. And it's extremely important that you understand how they work because we use them every day, especially in grammar. All right, let's get going on our weekly sentences, shall we? All right. Now, you can put a little treat on each one of these, and when you've done it, I'm going to put 2 on this one because this is the double challenge sentence. Okay. All righty. Let's get started. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, first part of your homework. What are the 4 kinds of verbs? And then write 2 different sentences using 2 different types of verbs. You get to choose which 2. All right. Now, let's read this together. The great commander Nathaniel Greene led bravely. Who or what is this sentence about? You know what? I'm actually going to edit this real quick because I have hold on. Okay. I had to actually double check this because there's something in here you guys actually aren't ready for. I'm going to introduce it very briefly, but I haven't taught it to you. We have in here what's called an appositive. So when we say, and as you see, I didn't double check my work because I didn't catch it when I put it in. The great commander Nathaniel Greene led bravely. When we say, who or what is this sentence about? Well, is it about Commander or Nathaniel Green? Because they're both the same person and they're right next to each other. The sentence is about Commander, subject, noun. And Nathaniel Green technically would be an appositive. Okay. But appositive comes right after the subject and renames the subject. But I'm going to we're just going to ignore this for a minute, and I'm going to have you cross out Commander. Okay? We're just going to think that word is not even there. Okay? Thanks for your patience, guys. All right, let's read this again. The great Nathaniel Green led bravely. Who or what is this sentence about? Nathaniel Green. And even though his name is 2 words, that's okay. What is being said about Nathaniel Green? Nathaniel Green, what? Led, verb. And then, is there another noun after this? Led who or what? If I said led the army, then that would be a direct object. But there is no other noun. Now, but what do we have here? Ooh, what is this here? Oops, I meant to make this, red. Led. Now this has an ly, and it's describing how he led. So this is an adverb. Okay, what kind of Nathaniel? Great. Adjective. Which Nathaniel? The article adjective. All right. If you did this one, you get this prize. Okay, let's go ahead and diagram this baby. I'm going to draw this map, and I want to see if you guys can do it. Don't forget your capitals in the right places. Okay, pause the video. See if you can do this without me. If you want to do it with me, let's go for it now. Ready? So here's our subject. Nathaniel. Oh no, I ran out of space. Green. And our verb is led. And our adjectives are going to be the great Nathaniel Green led. We have our pink describing our verb. Bravely. Very good. Now do you see the core of our sentence? Here's our verb, okay, which is our fulcrum. We're going to just draw this here. And what do we have hanging off of it? Just our subject, right? So it's just one thing. So it's this pattern, SVI, subject, verb, intransitive. It's not transferring action to anything. Okay, so we're actually going to write that down here. SVI. And so if it's just one set of subject and verbs, is it simple, compound, or complex? If you said simple, you are right. Okay, very good. Right, you can take your treat for that. Now, let's move to our next sentence. We can nobly stand for truth like these men. Who or what is this sentence about? We, subject, pronoun. What is being said about we? We can stand. Okay. So this is going to be our stand is our verb. And what's can? It's a helping verb. Verb helping. We can stand. And then are there any other nouns necessarily? No, there's not. So this is going to be intransitive. Now, Sister Allred, what is this floating adverb doing here? Look, it's an ly. So it's a dead giveaway that it's probably an adverb. Saying how they stand nobly. Adverb. Adverbs very often can go between a verb and a helping verb. They're kind of like, hey guys, what's up? I'm just going to insert myself here. Especially negative adverbs like we can, or she Let's see. We will not go to class today. Not is an adverb, and will go is the verb. So anytime you add a not in there, it's always going to go, usually, I think always, between the helping verb and verb. Okay, so then what are these? What's for truth? Anybody have any idea? For truth, prepositional phrase. What about like these men? What's that? Like these men. Now, for is the preposition. For what? Truth. Object of the preposition. Remember, object of the prepositions are always nouns. And then like is a preposition. Like who or what? These men. Or men. Object of the preposition. Which men? These. What kind are many? Which or whose. So this is going to be, it's describing a noun. So it's going to be an adjective or adverb. If you said adjective, you are absolutely right. Very good. Let's go ahead and draw this. Okay. I'm going to draw the picture here and see if you guys can fill it in, okay? All right, go ahead and pause it if you want to do it yourself. If not, you can do it with me. All right, we. And there's going to be our verbs. Can stand. Nobly. This is our adverb. Just describing that. Here's our prepositional phrases, which are adverbial because they're describing how and why we can stand. For truth, like men. This is going to be our adjective. Awesome. Okay, so where's our fulcrum? Here's our fulcrum right here that our little noun is, pronoun actually, is hanging out on. So what pattern is this? Subject, verb, intransitive. This is the only pattern where it's our bird. Okay, there's only one verb and one subject. This is our only pattern that has that SVI. And it's very common, especially for you just starting out. So if we only have one set of subject and verb, what kind of sentence is it? Simple, compound, or complex? If you said simple, you are absolutely right. Good job. Okay, now for the challenge sentence. We love these. These are fun. Okay, you can go ahead and eat your little treaty. Let's go ahead and dive in. There's a few things we're going to look for before we start actually doing sentence confirmation, but say this with me. Francis Marion was called Swamp Fox because he was clever and tricked the British. Okay, first and foremost, what do you notice here? Do you notice any conjunctions or prepositional phrases? Well, we do have because is a conjunction. And let's look real quick at our, where's my verb chart? I don't know where it went. Hold on. Not my verb chart, my conjunctions. Okay, so let's look here at our conjunctions. Okay, so this be is because. It's a subordinating conjunction, which means it's going to go below. We can't just say because he was clever and tricked the British. That doesn't stand on its own, because the because is dependent on this. All right, any other conjunctions? And we have one right there. But this looks like it's just linking words together. Okay. Let's go ahead now. Kids, this is going to be a different sentence pattern, something we haven't really done before. So this is going to be kind of fun. All right, who or what is this sentence about? Let's look at our core part. Frances Marion, subject noun. What is being said about Frances Marion? Frances Marion was called. So called is the action verb. Was is the helping verb. There we go. Frances Marion was called Swamp Fox. Okay, now we're going to treat this as one word because it's a name, just like his name. Now, does Swamp Fox replace Frances Marion? Do they equal each other? Yes, they do. Is Swamp Fox a noun or an adjective? It's a noun because it's his other name, right? So normally we would say, does this replace the subject? No. Does it describe the subject? No. Do, label, verb, transitive. But it's not a direct object because it's renaming the subject. So what on earth would it be, Sister Allred? Since it's literally his name renaming this is a predicate nominative. Nom means name. Predicate nominative. It replaces the noun. Okay, so it's a noun itself, kind of like a direct object, but since it equals this equals that and can replace each other, so Swamp Fox was Frances Marion, we could switch them around, right? And it would still mean the same thing, essentially. Then it's predicate nominative. Very good. Now, if this was describing him, like Frances Marion was crafty, or then there would be an adjective describing him. Okay, it's a predicate adjective, but it's a noun. So, and it's renaming him, so predicate nominative. Let me just double check something. Okay, yes, that's right. Okay. Now, let's look at this. Because he was clever, we know this is a subordinating conjunction. And this is just a conjunction. Okay. He was clever and tricked the British. Who or what is this clause about? He. Subject, pronoun. What is being said about he? He was. Verb. Now, in this, well, this could be technically a predicate adjective, but we have this one as well. This is a predicate adjective. So, the diagramming is going to be a little bit funny, but it's going to be fun. Okay. Does clever replace he? No. Does it describe he? Yes. So that makes this a predicate adjective. And that means this is linking. This is linking too. There, we get to use a linking verb. How fun. He was clever and tricked. Okay, so here we have another verb, but we have a verb linking and a verb transitive. You guys, this is such a complicated sentence, but this is why this is so fun. He tricked who or what? British. Does British describe he? No. Does it replace he, like either of these? No. D-O, label, verb, transitive. The, article, adjective. Whew, we all know that one. Okay, now we get to do our diagramming. This is going to be a fun little picture. So, Frances Marion was called Swamp Fox. Okay, so here's our subject. Now this is going to slant backwards because Swamp Fox replaces Frances Marion, like reflects. Kind of is like a rainbow linking them together. Okay, so we have Francis, Marion, was called Swamp Fox. There's a video of this. You know, Disney a long time ago did an old TV show about it. I've heard it's cool. And this is going to be subordinating. So we're going to link this together. Okay, let's see if I can do this without messing it up. And I don't have a pencil. Because he we're going to have a rocket here because we have a compound verb. I want to write because. He is a subject. Actually, pronouns are purple. He was, we're going to slant this back. Clever and tricked. Now, is this one going to slant back? Is British describing he or replacing he? No, it's not. It's just a direct object. Just a noun. And then we have article adjective. Phew, you guys, look, we managed to get 3 of our 4 verbs in here. Helping verb. Actually, we got all 4 in. All 4 verbs in this one sentence, okay? Helping verb. This is an action verb. Was called, okay? So a verb phrase with 2 kinds of verbs. And was, clever, verb linking, and another action verb. Actually, we're missing a state of being verb. Okay, so there's 3 types of verbs. Okay. Isn't that hilarious? Guys, nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, now, do we have, do we have 2 sets of subject and verbs? Yes, we do. Okay, so it can't be simple. Now, is it compound or complex? Can this stand on its own? Or is it dependent on this? This is dependent on this because it has a because clause. Now, if we said, and he was clever, and is not a dependent verb. We could just say he was clever and tricked the British. But because is a subordinate clause, signaling that this is dependent. So this is kind of like the garage. Do you see that? You can't live in a garage alone. Well, you know, really. So this is a complex sentence. That probably felt very complex. Okay, if you haven't written your name, make sure to write your name. You guys, way to go. This was a biggie today. Nicely done.